Hi, in this video, we are going to see how to find the square root of a complex number without any shortcut or trick. Actually, this is a proper way of finding square root of a complex number. So, square root of negative 8, negative 6i. I assume the square root of this complex number negative 8, negative 6i is equal to x positive yi. Okay, so now mine is to find the values of x and y. So once I get the values of x and y, I can say the result of the square root of the complex number negative 8, negative 6i. Okay, now to get rid of the square root on the left side, what I'm going to do is I'm going to square both sides. So negative 8, negative 6i the whole square is equal to x plus yi the whole square. So here the square root and square root cancel out. I get negative 8, negative 6i on the left side. On the right side, so I'm taking square for x positive yi. Already we know the algebraic identity, that is a plus b the whole square, which is equal to a square positive 2ab positive b square. We can use this algebraic identity to expand the square of this binomial. So if I do it, so I'll be getting x square positive 2 times x times yi positive yi the whole square. So negative 8, negative 6i is equal to x square positive 2xyi positive yi the whole square can be written as y square times I square. Negative 8, negative 6i is equal to x square positive 2xyi positive y square. In complex number, we know that the value of I square is negative 1. So we can plug in negative 1 for I square. So we get negative 8, negative 6i is equal to x square positive 2xyi. When you multiply this positive and negative, you'll be getting negative y square. Okay, we get negative 8, negative 6i. On the right side, there are two terms, x square and negative y square without I. So we can write those two terms together. So we get x square negative y square positive 2xyi. In a complex number, the part which we have without I is considered to be real, and the term which contains I is considered to be imaginary. So here this is real and this is imaginary. Okay, whenever two complex numbers are equal, we can equate the real parts and imaginary parts. So the real part on the right side is going to be x square negative y square. So the real part on the left side is going to be negative 8. So we can write x square negative y square is equal to negative 8. The imaginary part on the right side is 2xy. The imaginary part on the left side is negative 6. Okay, we can take this x square negative y square is equal to negative 8 as one equation. Here in this one, you can solve for either for x or for y. So I'm going to solve for y in this equation. So for that, I have to divide both sides by 2x. So this 2x will cancel, and 2 goes into 2. 1 times 2 goes into 6 thrice. I get y is equal to negative 3 over x. I assume this is the second equation. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in negative 3 over x for y into the first equation. So I'll have the first equation in terms of only the variable x. I can solve for x then. So now we can plug in negative 3 over x for x square, y, negative 3 over x for y into the first equation. So x square negative and negative 3 over x the whole square is equal to negative 8. If I square this negative 3, it will become 9. If I square this x, it will become x square is equal to negative 8. Okay, to simplify the stuff on the left side, I assume there is 1 in denominator over here. So to get the same denominator for both the fractions, I multiply both numerator and denominator by x square. When I do so, I'll be getting x to the 4th power over x square. Negative 9 over x square is equal to negative 8. So in the next step, x to the 4th power negative 9 over x square is equal to negative 8. So now the common denominator is x square. Okay, to get rid of this denominator, I multiply both sides by x square. So this x square will cancel out. X to the 4th power negative 9 is equal to negative 8 x square. Okay, now to make the right side of this equation 0, I'm just going to add 8x squared to both sides. When I do it, so this one will cancel out. I'll be getting the equation 8x to the 4th power positive 8x square negative 9 equals to 0. Okay, now this is the equation of degree 4. So it will be a little challenging to solve an equation of degree 4. So to make the solving process easier, what I'm going to do is I'm going to write this x to the 4th power as x square the whole square, because the simplification of this one is going to be 2 times 2 is 4, then you'll be getting x to the 4th power positive 8x square negative 9 is equal to 0. Okay, now as in a new variable, say p for x square. So wherever you find x square, it can be replaced by p. So if you replace this x square by this x square by p, it will be p, and we have square over here p square positive. If you replace this x square by p, it will be 8p negative 9 is equal to 0. Now we just have a quadratic equation in terms of the variable p. I think we can solve this quadratic equation easily because we know the method of solving quadratic equation, like factoring, quadratic formula. I think this quadratic equation can be solved by factoring. So let's take the constant of negative 9. Get two factors for negative 9 so that the product is equal to negative 9 and the sum is equal to the middle term positive 8. So I think positive 9, negative 1 will work. So when you multiply positive 9 and negative 1, it will be negative 9. When you add positive 9 and negative 1, it will be positive 8, which is equal to the middle term. So the two factors can be written as p plus 9 and p minus 1 is equal to 0. So either p plus 9 is equal to 0 or p minus 1 is equal to 0. We get p is equal to negative 9 and we get p is equal to 1. So now I have solved for p. But now my target is to find the value of x. So to make the solving process easier, we have assigned a new variable p. We solve for p now. So now the p has to be replaced by the original variable x square. So now in these two equations, we have to replace p by x square. In that case, we'll be getting x square is equal to negative 9 and x square is equal to 1. Okay, if you solve for x square, you have to take square root on both sides. So x is equal to positive or negative square root of 9. And if we take square root of on both sides over here, we'll be getting just x. And here we get positive or negative 1. So usually I assume x positive yi as a result of the square root of negative 8, negative 8, 6i. Whenever you find square root of a complex number, the result we get over here, the value we have here, the value we have here, both the values must be real numbers. So x and y can now be imagined numbers. So that you have to find the result. So here we got x is equal to positive or negative square root of 9, square root of negative 9. Actually, this is imaginary. So we can ignore this one. So we can consider only this part because here we get two values for x. That is x is equal to positive 1 and negative 1. Both of them are real numbers. Okay, to get the values of y, what we need to do is we have to substitute x is equal to 1 and x is equal to negative 1 into the second equation. Y is equal to negative 3 over x. Okay, now let's substitute x is equal to 1 into the second equation. That is y is equal to negative 3 over x. For x, we have to substitute 1 and we get y is equal to negative 3. So and here when I substitute x is equal to negative 1, I get y is equal to negative 3 over negative 1. We get y is equal to positive 3. Okay, so I get x is equal to 1 and negative 3. X is, we get two values for y. They are negative 3 and positive 3. Okay, when I move back, so here, when I equated the real parts and imaginary parts in this equation, already I got that 2xy is equal to negative 6. If I divide both sides by 2, what do I get? 2 will cancel out. And I get xy is equal to negative 3 because 2 goes into 1 times, 2 goes into the 6 thrice. So the product of x and y is negative 3. So whenever the product of two values is equal to negative 3, one value has to be positive, one value has to be negative. So please remember, here we get the product xy is equal to negative 3. So if x is positive, y has to be negative, so that the product can be a negative number. If x is negative, then y has to be positive. Okay, so if, one second, if x is equal to 1, then y has to be negative 3. If x is equal to negative 1, then y has to be positive 3, so that the product can be equal to negative 3. Finally, the solution x comma y is equal to 1 comma negative 3 or negative 1 comma 3. Okay, now let's write the square root of the given complex number. It is square root of, one second, negative 8, negative 6i is equal to x plus yi. We got x is equal to 1, y is equal to negative 3. So 1, negative 3i, or x is equal to negative 1 and y is equal to 3. Negative 1, positive 3i. So the square root of the complex number negative 8, negative 6i is equal to 1 minus 3i or negative 1 plus 3i. I think this video helps you to understand how to find a square root of a complex number. Thank you.